Welcome all to the course of Data Communication Networking, the 7th semester, Electronics and Communication Engineering. We are discussing a transport layer, and it is the last topic of our unit is a process-to-process delivery for our TCP, Transmission Control Protocol. So the Transmission Control Protocol is a second transport layer protocol like our UDP, is the process to process or program to program protocol. TCP therefore, like UDP, uses a port numbers. Unlike UDP, TCP is a connection oriented protocol. It creates a virtual connection between two TCPs to send a data. In addition, TCP uses flow and error control mechanism at the transport layer. In brief, TCP is a connection-oriented, reliable transport protocol. It adds a connection-oriented and reliability features to the services of IP. Following topic to be discussed in this TCP. TCP services. Before discuss the TCP in detail, let us examine or explain the services offered by the TCP to the process at the application layer. Process to process communication. Unlike a UDP, TCP provide process to process communication using a port numbers. A table shows list some well-known ports used by TCP. Fine. Some of protocol you have used FTP, then HTTP, DNS. You have seen. Okay. Next is a stream delivery services. TCP, unlike a UDP, is a stream-oriented protocol. In UDP, a process and application programs sends a messages with a predefined boundaries to UDP for delivery. UDP adds its own header to each of these messages and delivers them to the IP for the transmission. Each message from the process is called a user datagram and become eventually one IP datagram. Neither IP nor UDP recognize any relationship between the diagrams. TCP, on the other hand, allows the sending process to deliver the data as a stream of bytes and allows the receiving process to obtain the data as a stream of bytes. TCP creates an environment in which the two processing seems to be connected by the imaginary tube that carries the data across the internet. So you can see this. This imaginary environment is depicted in this figure. The sending procedure writes to the stream of bytes and the receiving process reads from them. Next is sending and receiving buffers. Because the sending and the receiving process may not write or read the data at the same speed, TCP needs buffer for a storage. There are two buffers, the sending buffer and the receiving buffer, one for each direction. We will see later that these buffers also necessary to flow and error control mechanism used by the TCP. One way to implement a buffer is to use a circular array of a 1 byte. 1 byte location is shown in this figure. For simplicity, we have shown the two buffers of a 20 byte each. Normally the buffers are 100 or thousands of bytes depending on the implementation. We also saw the buffers at the same size, which is not always the case. They may be different. This figure shows the movement of the data in one direction. So a particular direction is there. At the sending side, the buffer has 3 types of chambers. There is a different color mentioned over there. The white section contains the empty chamber that can be filled by the sending process. The gray area holds the bytes that have been sent but not yet acknowledged. TCP keeps these bytes in a buffer until it receives the acknowledgement. A colored area contains the bytes to be sent by the sending TCP. However, we will see later the TCP may be able to send only the part of this colored section. This could be due to the slowness of the receiving process or perhaps to the congestion in the network. Also, note that after the bytes in the gray chambers are acknowledged, the chambers are recycled and available for the use by the sending process. This is why we show the circular buffer. The operation of the buffer at the receiving side is simpler. The circular buffer divided into the 2 areas. So only 2 areas is there, white and colored. A white area contains the empty chambers to be filled by the byte received from the network. The colored section contains the received byte that can be read by the receiving process. The colored section contains received byte that can be read by the receiving process. When a byte is read by the receiving process, the chamber is recycled and added to the pool of the empty chambers. Fine. Next is a TCP segments. Although the buffering handles the disparity between the speeds of producing and consuming the process, we need one more step before we can send the data. The IP layer as a service provider of a TCP needs to send the data in packets, not as a stream of bytes. At the transport layer, the TCP groups a number of bytes together into the packet called as a segment. TCP adds a header to each segment for control purpose and delivers the segment to the IP layer for the transmission. The segments are encapsulated in IP datagrams and transmitted. This entire operation is transparent to the receiving process. We will see that the segments may be received out of the order, lost or corrupted, and returned. All these are handled by the TCP with the receiving process unaware about any activity. So this figure shows how our segments are created from the bytes in its buffer. Fine. So it is written over here. Note that the segments are not necessarily the same size. In figure, for simplicity, we saw one segment carrying 3 bytes. Okay, over here 3 bytes. For other hand, carrying 5 bytes. In reality, the segments carry hundreds, if not thousands, of bytes. Next is a full duplex communication. A TCP offers a full duplex services in which the data can flow in both directions at the same time. Each TCP then has a sending and receiving buffer, and segments move in the both directions. Next is a connection oriented communication. A TCP, unlike a UDP, is a connection oriented protocol. When a process at a site A wants to send the receive the data from the another process site B, following service will be occur. First is the two TCP establish a connection between them. Second, the data are exchanged in both directions. Third, the connection is terminated. So means establishment, data transfer and termination. So these three steps has been accomplished by our TCP. Note that this is a virtual connection, not a physical connection. The TCP segment is encapsulated in a IP datagram and can be sent out of the order, or lost, or corrupted, and then resent. Each may use a different path to reach the destination. There is no physical connection. TCP creates a stream-oriented environment in which it accepts the responsibility of delivering the bytes in order to the other side. The situation is similar to creating a bridge that spans a multiple island and passing all the bytes from one island to another in one single connection. We will see this feature in later. Last is a reliable service. The TCP is a reliable transport protocol. It uses a acknowledgement mechanism to check the safe and sound arrival of data. Next is a TCP features. To provide the services mentioned in our previous section, the TCP has several features that are briefly summarized in this section. Numbering system. Although the TCP software keeps the track of segments being transmitted or received, there is no field for a segment number value in the segment header. Instead, there are two fields called as sequence number and acknowledgement number. These two fields refer to the byte number, not the segment number. Byte number. The TCP number all the data bytes are transmitted in the connection. The numbering is independent in each direction. When TCP receives bytes of a data from the process, it stores them in the sending buffer and numbered them. The numbering does not necessarily start from the 0. Instead, TCP generates a random number of between 0 to 2^32 minus 1 for the number of a first byte. For example, if the random number happens to be 1057 and the raw data to be sent is 6000 bytes, the bytes are numbered from 1057 to 7056. So the bytes of the data being transferred in each connection are numbered by TCP. The numbering starts with a randomly generated number. Next is a sequence number. After the bytes have been numbered, the TCP assigns a sequence number to each segment that is being sent. The sequence number for each segment is the number of the first byte carried in the segment. So let's have an example. Suppose that a TCP connection is transferring of 5000 bytes and the first byte is numbered 10001. What are the sequence number for each segment of the data are sent in 5 segments, each carrying 1000 bytes. So the following shows the sequence number of each byte. Segment 1, sequence number 10001, range is 1000. Fine. So after that it will be like this. So the value of the sequence number field of the segment defines the number of the first byte data contains in that segment. Fine. So the first byte data, okay. So it is a sequence number. Acknowledgement number. As we have discussed previously, the communication in the TCP is full duplex. When a connection is established, both parties can send and receive the data at the same time. Each party number the bytes usually with a different sending byte number. The sequence number is in each direction shows the number of first byte carried by the segment. Each party also uses a acknowledgement number to confirm the bytes it has received. However, the acknowledgement number defines the number of the next byte that the party expects to receive. In addition, the acknowledgement number is cumulative, which means that the party takes the number of a last byte that it has received, safe and sound, adds 1 to it, and announce this sum as an acknowledgement number. The term cumulative here means that if the party uses 5643 as an acknowledgement number, it has received all bytes belonging to the up to 5642. Note that this does not mean that the party has received a 5642 bytes, because the first byte number does not have a start from 0. So the value of acknowledgement field is a segment defines the number of the next byte a party expects to receive. The acknowledgement number is cumulative. A flow control. A TCP, unlike a UDP, provides a flow control. The receiver of the data controls the amount of the data are to be sent by the sender. This is done to prevent the receiver from being overwhelmed with the data. The numbering system allows the TCP to use the byte oriented flow control. Error control. To provide reliable services, TCP implements error control mechanism. Although error control considers a segment as a unit of the data for error detection, just like our lost or corrupted segments, error control in a byte oriented. The last is a congestion control. The TCP, unlike a UDP, takes it into account congestion in the network. The amount of the data sent by the sender is not only controlled by the receiver but also determined by the level of congestion in the network. Segments. TCP segment format. Let us discuss the TCP packet themselves. A packet in the TCP is called as a segment. So what is a format? The segment consists of 20 to 60 byte header. It is followed by the data from the application program. The header is 20 byte if there is a no option, and up to 60 bytes if there is a contains options. The meaning and purpose of this will become clearer when we proceed through the discussion. A source port address. This is a 16-bit field that defines the port number of the application program in the host that is sending the segment. This serves the same purpose as the source port address in the UDP header. Destination port address. This is a 16-bit field that defines the port number of the application program in the host that is receiving the segment. This serves the same purpose as the designated port address in the UDP header. Sequence number. This 32-bit field defines the number of assigned to the first byte of the data contained in the segment. As we said before, the TCP is a stream transfer protocol. To ensure connectivity, each byte to be transmitted is numbered. The sequence number tells the destination which byte is in sequence, compares the first byte in the segment. During the connection establishment, each party uses a random number generated to create an initial sequence number, ISN, which is usually different in each direction. Next is acknowledgement number. A 32-bit field defines the byte number that the receiver of the segment is expecting to receive from the other party. If the receiver of the segment has successfully received the byte number of x from the other party, it defines x plus 1 as an acknowledgement number. Acknowledgement and the data can be piggybacking together. A header length. A 4-bit field indicates the number of 4-byte words in a TCP header. The length of the header can be between 20 to 60 bytes. Therefore, the value of the field can be between 5 into 4 is equal to 20 and 15 to 4 into 16. A reserved. This is a 6 field reserved for the future use. A control. This field defines the 6 different control bits or flags as shown in this figure. So it is a control. One or more of these can be set at a time. So this is the bit enable flow control, connection establishment and termination, connection abortion and the mode of the data transfer in TCP. A brief description of each shown in the table. So a URG is a urgent point is valid, ACK is acknowledgement is valid, PS is like a request for a push, RST is reset for the connection, SYN is a synchronized sequence numbers, and FINE is like terminate the connection. So it is a list out over this. A window size. This field defines the size of the window in the bytes that the other party must maintain. Note that the length of the field is 16 bits, which means that the maximum size of the window is 65535 bytes. This value is normally referred to as the receiving window and is determined by the receiver. The sender must obey the direction of the receiver, in this case checksum. This is a 16-bit field contains the checksum. The calculation of checksum of a TCP allows the same procedure as one described by our UDP. However, the inclusion of the checksum in the UDP datagram is optional, whereas the inclusion of the checksum for the TCP is mandatory. The same pseudo header serving the same purpose is adding to the segment. For the TCP pseudo header, the value of the protocol field is 6 byte. Urgent pointer. This 16-bit field, which is valid only if the urgent field is set, which is used when the segment contains urgent data. It defines the number that must be added to the sequence number to obtain the number of last urgent bytes in the data section of the segment. Last is options. There can be up to 40 bytes of the optional information in TCP header. We will not discuss the options here. Fine. So it is the end of our discussion. Let's revise our discussion. We started our discussion with TCP introduction. We have seen some well-known ports used by the TCP. We have seen a stream of bytes where the stream delivery occurs in our TCP. We have also seen an buffer at the sender side and buffer at the receiving side with each segment. We have seen a segments in a TCP which is added after the buffer and before the buffer at our receiving side. After that, we have seen some features of a TCP, just like our full duplex communication, connection oriented communication, and reliable services. We have extracted the features just like our numbering system in a byte format and sequence number. We have also seen the features in acknowledgement number. After that, flow control, error control, and congestion control has been discussed. We have seen the TCP segment format in detail and discuss each and every component and each and every field of our data format or TCP segment format. These are the control feeds in our TCP. So, it is a question for you, and from this we have completed the unit 7 from this lecture, and we will start our discussion with a new unit. So up to now the following topic has been discussed and following unit has been completed: 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Fine. So it is a 7 unit completion. So only 2 units is remaining: application layer and network security. From the next session we start our discussion with application layer. So it is a question for you. Write down in your notebook. Okay students, see you in the next session. Thank you.